All right. First and foremost, I'm going to say all praises be to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash. And then I'm going to say double honors to the apostles and elders, great most honor, shalom to the sincere elect, teaching the truth and faith and sincerity. Quick topic I want to speak about is on this word, composure. And spiritual composure. This topic has been on my mind for the last couple of days, probably since about last week. I said, I've been meaning to do it, but a few things are taking place. I said, finally do it now. And if we go into word composure, composure is a state of being calm and confident and in control of one's feelings or behavior, especially under stress. It describes the ability to stay steady-minded and avoid panicking or becoming overly emotional when faced with a difficult or unexpected situation. Mainly the topic I want to speak on is a sense of faithful composure. The scripture speaks about being still, and being patient when thou changes to a lower state. And that theme is throughout the scriptures, in terms of, righteous men and righteous souls being in times of trouble and tribulation and staying faithful and composed when they was dealing with these things and not losing themselves, not giving up, not doubting, and staying fervent. And one way to show spiritual composure is praying and fasting. When you're dealing with tough circumstances or tough situations, all right, to just remember to pray and fast immediately. And us brothers in the faith, we've been through challenges. There are times when you might be getting, your time of that furnace of affliction is taking place, and the flesh kind of wants you to bug out, get proud, whatever it is. But in a way of spiritually staying composed, is to lock in, to pray, to fast, to call on the Lord's name. And then, the Lord will, solve that circumstance and fight that battle and help you to overcome that battle. And that's something we must be. Because in this faith, we go through different types of affliction. Sometimes you actually might have a circumstance where, you're being painted a certain way or seen a certain way. And then it's like, you actually might feel like, man, I've been, I don't know what's going on. And then you fast and you pray, ask for more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the circumstances and situation. And by staying fervent and faithful, man, a lot of the times the Lord comes back and just solves the circumstance, man. You know what I mean? There's certain things have taken place and you're like, wow, it's come back full circle. You ask for more understanding of a situation or circumstance. You're just going through hell. With a certain circumstance, it's like, man, I'm catching hell, man. You're actually praying to the Lord and crying to the Lord, and then the Lord eventually comes through. And then sometimes validates that, man, you wasn't bugging out. Brothers can talk about certain things, man, in situations where it's like, man, Lord, man, give me understanding, Lord, solve this situation. And then it happens. You're like, wow, that's the power of the Lord, man. That's why we must show spiritual composure and even pray to the Lord to be spiritually composed when we are going through these things. In fact, let's go into the etymology, of composure. Composure etymology, Alright. Composure means staying calm and controlling your feelings. The word comes from the Latin roots come together, coniere, to place. This means to put things together, you know, and what we do put together is that confidence, which is faith. You know, well, with faith, man. Composure, composition, composing, construction, arrangement, compose, tranquility, calmness, state of mind. Right, and the first scripture that comes to mind, all right, the first thing that comes to the scripture that comes to mind is Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, right? It says, "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, set thy heart aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble." And we go through different levels of temptation. We go through, you know, battles of endurance. You know, you might be accused of doing something that you just totally didn't do. You know, you might be going through things on the plantation and your family, you know, false brothers or anything. It could be anything. It could be anything, man. And you're praying, you're fast. It's like, for me, man, personally, man, I've always felt that as long as you pray and fast, and you trust and believe in those names, and you fear the Lord, you're gonna be all right. I've always felt that. You know, no matter if you like, my brothers, man, we're in the flesh. You know, so sometimes you might offend a brother or something might happen, and then you might feel low, like, man, I fucked up. You know, Lord, have mercy. And it's like something I always try and do when those times come, and you might offend a brother, you might have made a mistake or whatever it is. You know, just lock in like you're always supposed to do. You pray, you fast, you read the scriptures, you do the work, and eventually, may the Lord have mercy. You know, you actually might, you know, be in a situation where you're getting cursed out, and you might not understand what's taking place, and then you just lock in and you pray and fast, and then, you know, you eventually get more understanding. You might be going through a situation where, you know, you're simply you know, that's what scripture speaks about. What's that verse? The scripture says, yeah, you actually might be suffering wrongfully, man. You know, something may be happening to you that's wrong, right? And you're just dealing, you're just staying faithful, you're staying patient, and then the Lord eventually comes through, and that's because you had faith, man. You was praying, you was fasting, you know, you was praying to the Lord to solve the situation and have mercy and whatever it may be. And then the Lord comes through, man. And in His faith, you're gonna go through many trials, tribulations, and temptations. And it's always important to be spiritually composed, man. You know, because Satan just wants you to be rash and crash out, man. And hey, remember this, what the scripture says: a righteous man falleth 7 times and getteth back up again, man. So we make mistakes, things happen. Now, when these things happen, you could either go the route of pride or the route of being spiritually composed through faith, man. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make no haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. And there are many ways in which you can get changed to a lower state. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So even that, it's only acceptable men that can endure the furnace of adversity, man. right? And the finest of adversity comes with many trials and tribulations, and and much more, man. Believe in him, and he will help thee all the day of thy way aright, and trust in him. And the way we trust in him is by calling upon those names, man. The scripture says the prayer of the righteous pierceth the clouds, man. The prayer of the righteous pierceth the clouds, man. That's a big deal. The prayer of the righteous truly pierced the clouds. And guess what? In his faith, the Lord shows us examples in our walk. And you're like, rah, man, the Lord really heard me. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside lest he fall. Ye that fear the Lord, believe in him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old, and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called on him? And it's like, bro, in our walk, man, the Lord will show you situations, man. Just trust in the Lord and lead in the Lord. Be faithfully composed in the spirit of the Lord, and the Lord will show you his power, man. The Lord will show you his power, and you're like, wow, the Lord came through. Even though and there was moments where you was like, shit, you're just dealing with shit, you're just enduring, you're like, fuck, Lord, please come through. And guess what? The Lord has come through, and the Lord does come through. And like, you see, and he comes through at the right time, man. You just be dealing with stuff, the mental strains, the physical strains. You're like, shit, and the Lord comes through, man. That's why again, spiritual composure, man. Don't bug out, don't crash out. And these are things that we don't have control over, but these are things that we can pray to obviously be, to be spiritually composed, to be faithful, to have push the spirit of endurance, whatever it may be, man. Don't sleep on the names of the Lord, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't sleep on the names of the Lord, bro. Of the Father and the Son, man. All right. So I'm gonna get like a quick example, right, of spiritual composure in the scriptures, man. And there are many examples in the scriptures, but the example that I love the most is Job's example. Because when you read the example of Job, he showed immense courage, faith, and spiritual composure, man. All right. So let's just go to let's just read Job, man. Job 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, one that feared the Most High and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance was also 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she asses in a very great household. So that this man was the greatest men, so it was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses every one on his day. And he sent for the 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting was gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed the Most High in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came amongst them. See, and the spiritual demon Satan is a son of the Most High, like on the left hand side, man. He's controlled, He's got a job. He's got a job to do. And the Lord turned to Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, and one that feareth the Lord and escheweth evil. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear the Most High for naught? Hast thou not made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he have on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth now and touch all that he have, and he curse thee to thy face. So the Lord just put Job through hell just cause. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he have is in thy power. Only upon himself put forth not thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their elder brother's house. And it came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses were feeding beside them. And the Sabians fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants they've slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of the Most High is fallen from heaven, and have burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and only I am escaped to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and the slain servants and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I am escaped to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their elder brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young men that they are dead, and I only am escaped to tell thee. Then, now here's the key part where it shows the spiritual composure. So like we've read, Job's catching all this hell. He's hearing about it, hell after hell, point after point, point after point. And this is the period of insane spiritual composure. Just look what he did. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down on the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked I came out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord have taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged the Lord foolishly. And I found that powerful, man. That all in all, with all the shit he was dealing with all the crazy stuff he was dealing with, what was the first thing? Then Job arose, rent his mantle, shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. So, a lot of people would have lost composure. They would have cursed the Lord. And sometimes we do lose composure because we're in the flesh, of course. We're obviously not perfect in it, but the point is to just pray. Like, fasting and praying are examples of spiritual composure, because you're trying to stay calm. You're obviously trying to endure. You're trying to overcome whatever you're trying to overcome through prayer and fasting. And sometimes you might be in a situation, you're just misunderstood completely. You're getting cursed out. It seems like you're just this evil guy, wicked, whatever it may be. And guess what? You pray, you fast, and then at the end of it, you get justified. You're like, you see, hey man, all praises be unto how about you not shy, man? You know what I'm saying? Spiritual composure is important, man. To just not get in the circumstances where you're just cursing, the Lord and doubting, just and leaving this thing, which obviously we don't have any control over. Because being of the elect is something that's predestinated from the foundation of this world, man. I had a list in chat, a GPT, which kind of gives us examples, because like if you read it all, man, it's gonna be a 9-hour video. You know what I'm saying? But let me just go to chat the GPT and get these examples. So I asked chat, Bible examples of men being composed and faithful in the midst of tough situations. The Bible gives many examples of men who remain composed, faithful, and steadfast under immense pressure. Here are some of the clearest. Joseph, right? Yeah, this is a good example. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused. You see? Falsely accused. Sometimes you might be falsely accused, man. In prison, instead of becoming bitter, he trusted the Most High and eventually forgave those who wronged him. Right? Job lost his children, lost wealth, health, yet worshipped the Lord. Even while questioning his suffering, he refused to curse the Most High. That's beautiful, man. That's composure, man. Which came through prayer and fasting on a consistent basis. You see, the thing is as well, you're supposed to just, look, we're in the flesh, innit? So nothing's perfect. But it's like, it's good to pray and fast before you even go through shit, you know? On a consistent basis as the like ability as the Lord gives you, you know? It says, Daniel continued praying despite a law forbidding it. Knowing it would cost him his life, he calmly accepted being thrown into the lion's den. Because guess what? He knew that the Lord was going to come through for him, and which he did. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to worship the king's golden image, remaining calm before the fiery furnace. They declared that the Most High could save them, but if not, they would still not bow. And it was a tough circumstance. They stayed composed, and a miracle happened. David, while hunted by Saul, he twice spared Saul's life instead of taking revenge, trusting God's timing. Yeah, in that situation, David could have took out Saul, man, but guess what? He stayed composed and he trusted, and eventually trusted in the Lord's will, and eventually came through. Nehemiah faced ridicule, threats, and plots while rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, yet stayed focused on the work and trusted the Most High. Beautiful. Moses endured constant complaints. Niggas were, no, Moses, man. Yeah, no, Moses, man. Talking in the back. Right? Endured constant complaints. Rebellion from the Israelites for 40 years while continuing to lead them to the Most High's command. Right? Stephen, as he was being stoned, he prayed for those killing him. Right? Because, you had people like the Apostle Paul in the crowd. Paul endured beatings, imprisonment, shipwrecks, persecution while continuing to preach the gospel with joy. Yeah, I was shy. The ultimate example. During his arrest, trial, scourging, and crucifixion, he remained in control and did not retaliate and entrusted himself to the Father. All right? And there's so many examples, man. But hey, I just wanted to speak about spiritual composure, man. It's important. And a great example of praying for and maintaining it, right? And praying for it to grow is praying and fasting. Praying for more faith, more belief, the spirit to endure, right? To, to be able to keep your emotions under control when you're dealing with tough situations, man. All right? So, hey, with that, I'm going to say all praises be to Yahweh, Shema, Shai, Shema, Kalkodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders. Great most until next time, we're going to say Shalom.